We are live. And
Hey, Gary.
hey, Glenn. As promised, I'm gonna bring Glenn in for. I was gonna do a recorded version, but I got him live, and he said, "Gary, I'll do it." Glenn's a great guy. He's a great brother. I love him to death. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go check out a few things about Glenn and Old World Stained Glass, um, and hear from Glenn what he has to say. I know a lot of people have questions about it, and if Glenn, if you could just confirm that you do see your website, Old World Stained Glass, on the YouTube channel. Like I said earlier, I can edit the beginning if it's not
Okay,
showing
yeah,
up.
I see the website. I see.
Oh,
Yep, yeah, I see it.
you see it scrolling down. All right,
Yes,
all right. So you're
good job.
live. Yeah, and yeah, Glenn. See, we share the same last name, Somers. That's Glenn, and he started Old World Stained Glass. What, Glenn? 15 years, 15, 20 years ago? I don't even know. I'm not even familiar. Uh, how many years ago did you start this version of?
I started Old World Stained Glass back in 2009.
Okay. Yeah, during a lot of studios back in that time, myself included. I had to shut the doors in '09 because of the economy. It was real horrible, and there was a lot of changes going on in the stained glass world, and some for the good, mostly for the bad. I ended up moving to my garage, and I still did stained glass, but I lost my studio, and things happen. Life happens. But Glenn, I, we had four brothers in the stained glass business. My uncle Ron and my dad, who's passed now. We were in Somers Stained Glass, that was created in 1868 from my dad and my uncle. And as we came to age 16 to legally work, we joined in the studio. And I started, Guy started in '75, I believe. I started in '76. I was 16, and Glenn the year after. We were like the Irish triplets. You know, Mom had us 14 months apart. And
Pretty much.
yeah, Irish triplets. And then Greg came along a little bit later in '63. So, Guy was 58, I was 60, Glenn was 61, and Greg was 63. Not too long after Glenn, but as soon as he became of age, he joined in too. And Greg became an awesome solderer. He's got the forearms of a horse, of a gorilla. Horses don't have forearms. And
Yeah, more of a brother. Yeah, yeah.
gorilla arms. And
But Gary, I still remember my first stained glass project that I made.
really,
Yeah, I had a crush on this girl named Lisa in sixth grade. So what was I, 12 years old at the
I
time?
remember Lisa.
Yeah,
I had
I
a
don't want to
crush
say her
on
last
her
name. I have to
too.
say her first name. And so I asked Dad if I could come to the shop and make her something. So Dad helped me, and we made a heart with probably like 60 pieces of glass and with the name Lisa written in script in the middle of the heart. That was my first stained glass project I ever made. So I was 12 years old when I did it. And I
uh,
guess it was in the genes.
yeah, you still? She probably still has it. Yeah, that's cute. Yeah, I don't recall. I remember when we were little kids. I remember back in the early '60s. With Dad in his big shop in Rockville Center. With all the trucks and the all the brothers. The Uncle Dave, Uncle Doug, Uncle Ronnie, Uncle Gilbert, Uncle Gil, and Dad in Somers Studios back in I think it was Rockville Center or Freeport. I don't know. But
Yeah, that's before
somewhere.
my time. I don't remember that.
Well, when I was in diapers, I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember the big red truck. Daddy's truck. But and then they were making a lot of the slag glass in that studio, and also, when they opened up Somers Stained Glass in 1968 in Deer Park, in the old studio, the one next door, they had Dad and Uncle Ronnie would You know, we go there for, you know, we play with the office tools. You know, like the adding machine, the old button thing with the paper. You
Yeah.
pull it down. Remember that? You know,
Yeah, and then we play with the cement and make putty balls out of it.
yeah, you know, and chew lead. People laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, "Hey, you chewed lead." Yeah, it had a sweet taste to it. It did. And then you can check your teeth indentation in the lead. Like,
Yeah.
oh God.
I never did that. I never did that.
Yeah, I chewed a lead there. Look at my teeth. Anyway, yeah, that's before, you know, so we had stained glass on it. You could always know when Dad came home, when Daddy was home, you could smell the cement on it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that smell of the shop was in my father's clothes, you know, and, you know, you give Dad a hug and you smelled stained glass. That was an early memory in the 60s.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. You
And,
smelled the distinct smell of putty when Dad came home.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, then they, you know, in the late '60s, I'd say well, it was the late '60s. They already started making the Tiffany lamps, you know, with the leaded lamps, and then they went on to the copper foil lamps and had wood forms made, and you know, they had actual aluminum female forms made that would hold shape to what the wood form was. And the design was done on the wood form and transferred, you know, to vinyl templates. We use a very thin gauge vinyl, thicker than a Mylar. But my uncle would sand every pattern. I remember sitting there for hours with the, you know, the 800 grit sandpaper, sanding away, like viciously sanding away for hours, just to get the lamps to have a certain amount of, you know, shaping for the patterns, so it didn't look like a commercial made. At the time, they made them in Mexico and Korea, and they looked real cheesy because everything was really straight cut, even, perfect, and so all our lamps had a natural handmade look to them, and that was because he sanded down every pattern, you know, and shaped it. He actually shaped it. But
Yeah. Do you remember Mom foiling at home?
what years?
Remember Dad bringing home lamps for Mom to foil, and she'd take the sheets of copper and
Oh,
slice
the
it down
paper cutter,
with
yeah.
the paper cutter machine.
Yeah, yeah. That was
And then-
Bob's
and cut it.
Yeah, before we had it milled.
Yeah, before they were milled, yeah.
Two
So,
milled.
such pioneers, you know, back then,
and
and whatever
Greg,
they could do with with you know with their income that they were making at the time, and trying to build on it
Oh,
every
yeah.
day, you know, every day. You know?
Well, back then the Tiffany lamps were pretty much trashed. You know, the people pull them
Yeah.
out of dumpsters and bring them in and say, "Can you fix this?" And they pulled them apart. They looked at the foil. They said, "All right, you got to get that foil, that copper." So they got sheets of it, and then eventually they got it milled. And you remember those big rolls? What are they, like the size of a dinner plate? What are they, like 10-pound rolls of copper on those big rolls?
No, not
Five-
quite that big, and they were definitely bigger than a dinner plate. But remember there were 3 mil, unlike the copper foil now, which is 1 or 1.5, and there was no glue on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was the lead. I was the let's say the foreman of the copper foiling area, which we usually have
Absolutely.
between 7.
That's because we hired all the young girls from high school coming forward.
No, those boys. We don't have any girls.
I'm kidding.
But, so to learn how to copper foil with no glue, you first had to copper foil grapes, which were those 18 millimeter grapes that we got from Germany, with barely any edges on the edge, and you had to make that stick, and that's how if you could do it, you were hired. If you couldn't, we passed up on you. You had to have that talent to foil grapes. I mean, how sadistical was that, to make it the toughest thing to possibly foil, around 18 millimeter grape with 3 millimeter foil with no glue on it? You remember those days?
Well,
Yeah.
it was.
But once you could do that, you could foil anything. That's that was
like
the thing.
The old master. If you can snatch that from my hand. No, those grapes were not the glass globs people think of. You know, there was an old German.
Perfect 18 millimeter German jewels. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfectly polished.
Really clean, polished, perfectly shaped, and a flat bottom on them, and we use them for the grapes and the lamps.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking of, I'm on your website. Let's see. For some reason, let me just check. I can't see how many people are on the stream, but I did make mention. I'm going to jump back to.
We had a company called Sierra Domes, and they made us a frame, like an octagonal frame, but they're all flat panels.
Right.
So that was the first one I really made. But that's kind of like there's no curve in there. So you basically make a window. Let's say it's a trapezoid, 18 inches on the bottom by 12 inches on top, and 9 inches legs going there. So you're just making a stained glass window and plopping it in, and putting a frame around it, and that's basically it. And then we started getting more customers that wanted like a free curve, a really nice curve.
Oh yeah.
And then I used our learning techniques that we did back in Bohemia when we started making all the lamps again, and learning how to fold the paper, get everything to fit properly. And basically, the dome is just a large-scale lamp. That's all it is. It's the same premise.
Yeah.
It's just a little more, a little bigger, by maybe 5 times or so.
Oh, you're talking you're talking double bends. You got the curve going
Yes.
down to the rim, and then you got the curve as a bubble out to the radiuses, which
Yeah.
is not something you just put on paper. It's got to have the
No.
proper spacing.
No,
and
it
all
doesn't
that.
work. Doesn't work that way. Mathematically, it doesn't work that way. You know that. You've done it with me many times. So.
Well, I kind of reinvented 3D designing with lamps.
Yes.
Kind of. I mean, that was all part of the deal. Gary, you got to be able to design a lamp, on paper.
Well, you remember the whole thing was when Dad and Uncle Ronnie did their lamps, they would get a wood form made, which is very expensive,
Yeah.
and then Uncle Ronnie would draw on 1/3 of the form only,
Yeah.
and then he'd draw the picture, and he'd take a rubbing of it, and each pattern he'd get from that form, and he was only able to do 3 lamps per form. Where once we got the base size down and the drawing down, we could do infinite number of lamps in that shape.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
Well,
Yeah. Which is pretty cool.
I had the discussion. I said, Uncle Ronnie, I could design that lamp, a 20-inch ball lamp. I could design 100 of them if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's impossible. I was like, okay, you don't understand that you got the challenge going on because as 4 boys being brought up by our mother with softball biceps, that we always stood up to challenges, and so I did.
Well,
Right, Mom.
Yep.
Mom will kick our butts.
most of your listeners would want to understand why we made lamps on the inside of forms and not on the outside of the forms.
Oh yeah. I'm there.
And the basic reason was if anybody's has ever made an Odyssey lamp or a Warden lamp where they have to sit there and put pieces on the outside of the form and put the tacky wax on, doing one at a time and soldering the whole lamp from the outside, whereas when we did it on the inside, we were able to work much faster speeds
Oh yeah.
and a lot stronger because we soldered the inside first. You take it out of the form, then solder the outside and make a nice clean fit. And the gravity, and basically maybe just on flowers and maybe delicate areas that you had to have precise would be pre-tacked with the Acicore, put into the form, and then you'd build a lamp until it was done to the bottom.
Yeah.
And if it was a straight lamp, you would make one of those rings that would go around the bottom, and you put a level on it, and there you go, lamp done.
Yeah. We're looking at the Iris ball. I believe it came in a 20 and a 24. Maybe a 22. I don't even know. You know better, cause.
Yeah, it might have been 22 also.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
But yeah, if you took the lamp and you flipped it upside down, that's how it was built. From the crown at the top, this rectangular trapezoid pieces, and down to the skirt where the scrolling is on the bottom.
Right.
And as you go up the form, the more of a 90 degrees, so you had to kind of tilt the form, but you also had to tack what you already had in there so it didn't come falling over on you.
Correct.
And
And on top of it, you could only have the skilled cutters cut the form lamps, because if someone wasn't skilled at glass cutting, it wouldn't fit in the form. So it had to be someone who knew how to cut exactly to the pattern every time, so they always fit the same way every time.
oh yeah.
So it had to be a skilled glass cutter like you.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I'm looking at all your lamps now. You got the Tiffany curtain border that we did. This one here,
Yep.
we actually made. This is our first uh, making our own form out of wood and plaster of Paris, and then gel coating. You know, putting the green release and the gel coat and the fiberglass. And
Yep, they were made out of fiberglass because the fiberglass just lasted forever, and it was a lot less expensive than getting those metal ones made.
Oh yeah,
So we ended up using the fiberglass.
yeah, the spun aluminum. Can you imagine? But you couldn't spin aluminum on a plaster of Paris form.
No.
It's not
Nope.
strong enough. That's why that was like a necessity. But yeah, we
Yeah.
figured out how to do fiberglass forms and make our own any shape we wanted. And what we did is took the original Tiffany, which is more of it's a dome with a straight down on the edge. Well, I guess you can see that, right? Yeah,
Yeah, the borders of
mouse.
curtain lamp. Yeah.
Yeah, coming down on a gentle curve, and then right at the diamonds coming down hard. And the originals that we did at Somers Stained Glass were more of a ball shape, like this, the iris ball. And,
Yeah. We perfected it
oh, yeah.
because it was more about you perfecting it. You wanted to have it so it was exactly like the original.
Yeah, Glenn, I
Oh.
wanted a Tiffany dome. You can't stop me
Yeah.
from wanting it. So
Yeah.
what do you do? You make the form, right? That's it.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
you design the lamp. This one was easy because it was all, you know, as you go. And once you get the kind of where the line's measuring up to, what I would do is I take a measurement, isometric drawing, and say, all right, this circle had, what was it? How many divides are in this, Glenn? 90, 48?
There's 96 actual divides, but
Right.
there's more.
40.
The background I think was 48. So
Right, I still remember that.
96 capitals.
Yeah, so I would divide that circle into 48, you know, to give me the 2,
Yeah.
and then that would be my measurement from this point to that point on the next pattern. So as we worked it down, and every now and then we'd have to trash one. It was a little loose or too big, but on the form itself, we followed the lining, actually using straight edge to make sure that these lines are straight.
Exactly right. Wow,
But-
good memory.
Yeah, but once we got the pattern, you
Yeah,
can make 100, 1,000.
then it was golden.
Yeah, and that was it. It was a test fit, right? We used to call them test fits.
Yeah.
And remember the light shows, Glenn?
Yep.
You're looking at the. You go back to the pictures of lamps. This always amazes me. Looking at this picture, you know, of the Tiffany lamps. I hear it's showing replicas that you've done personally, but the postcard of all the lamps, you know, you see 50, 60 lamps in the postcard, and then there's 400, 500 more hanging on the ceiling or more, and
Yeah.
I never really counted them. There were a lot. But looking at
Well,
the lamps, Glenn, looking at the lamps, I'm like, I cut that. I cut 8 of those. I cut,
Yeah.
you know, at least 3 of them for TGI Fridays. Like every lamp's like, the only one I just helped cut was the Empire Jewel with Clifford.
Yeah.
He was our glass.
I've
cutter.
never made that lamp. I'd love to make that lamp. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and
Never made it.
the what's you call it? I'm gonna go to Somers. I'm gonna go online. Yeah, here. It's the leadedlamps.com. Can you see that?
No, I'm trying to stay off because every time I go on something, I hear reverb.
Oh, that's where the reverb. You reverber.
Yeah, so right now I have my website. It's on pause because if I hit play, I hear us talking about 15 seconds later what we just said, and it's
Okay.
I can't concentrate. So I
Yeah.
figured I know exactly what's on my website. So if you just describe it to me, that's fine.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm showing a picture of us in 1981, I believe.
Yeah.
With Ronnie and Dad, you know, Guy, you, Ronnie, me, all the lamps.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the lamps, like I got that one. I got that. like,
Yeah, I know
you,
the picture. Yeah.
You think how many lamps have you? People say, how many lamps have you ever cut or made? you can't. I can't put my finger on that. And
Yeah, they're in the tens of thousands.
and personally cut. I mean, I tell people, they say, well, how do you cut drawing the glass cutter to you? And it's always a big discussion. Folks say, oh, I've been doing it for 40, 50 years, always push the glass cutter. I say, well, you're going to put some good old-fashioned Kokomo cat's paw down that Uncle Ronnie wants for this grape lamp. You're not pushing the cutter.
Yeah.
You can't. You can, but you're going to have to break the grinder out. And if you look at this picture of all of us in 1981, there was no grinders in that shop.
Not one.
Not one. And,
Not one.
So, and everything was cut drawing to you. And we did that way because it was more efficient. And Glenn, you can attest. You can, over Ronnie's head that I'm looking at the 21-inch, was it Peony, the floral lamp we called it, the 502, I don't know. It's the cone floral with the 3 flowers and the pop.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what, 120 pieces in there? 200?
Oh, no, way more than that. 280.
280, yeah. 100 and something pattern. But that lamp was, after lunch lamp. You cut that lamp at a rate of 120 pieces an hour, typically.
Yeah.
And
then, the best part about it was that Dad and Uncle Ronnie were such great businessmen that they would sell a custom lamp. Let's say it would be that floral lamp, 24-inch, and they'd have you, or they'd have Paul or Cliff. You would just cut one. You cut three of them exactly the same way.
Absolutely.
Because it went that much faster. So you'd be cutting 3 of lamp in an afternoon.
And then, not to mention TGI Fridays. Every restaurant, we did 3 restaurants a month. So for every month, you need 3 of those lamps. So there were times I cut 6 of them.
Yep.
So anyway, let's see.
Yeah, you figure with over 1,000 TGI Fridays restaurants done by our family, and we did over 250 Ruby Tuesdays restaurants, and we did a lot of Dave and Buster's work, and each one of these restaurants had usually between 25 to 35 lamps in it. So even if you just take the Fridays alone, you take 30 lamps, you multiply it by 1,000. That's how many?
A lot.
30,000 lamps for TGI Fridays.
The numbers
don't. The windows.
They don't even make sense in my mind. We just went to work and we cut glass.
Yeah. So when I worked with Dad and Uncle Ronnie, my job was the copper foil, to assemble lamps, and once a week I go into the back and I patina lamps, and then repair whatever was patinaed. And it would take me, and you say, oh, you did patina lamps. It would take me an 8-hour day because I'd have 25 to 30 lamps to patina every week. You say, nah, it can't be possible. And I'm not talking little lamps. We're talking 28-inch poinsettias, 27-inch bell shapes. Remember the parrot lamp that we used to make?
Oh,
that one? I mean,
for
big lamps,
Yeah. That was a cool
every
lamp.
week I patina 25 to 30 lamps.
I think that lamp is still in the shop right now.
The parrot one?
I saw the pictures of the. Remember that salad bar window? It was like a very wide. That's still there. I was looking at the pictures. I was like, there's a salad bar window. But I got a page open of that Douglas Elliman real estate with that. I think that window was like 9 feet. It's got the arch top and the Tiffany trellis and the magnolia and you guys. I was, I believe, in North Carolina at the time, and you said, hey, we need this design made. And so I made it, and you guys really did a great job. It's a 3-section panel with what is it, 1-inch H reinforcement at the bottom of the half round, and then going up a couple feet. So it's actually done in 3 sections. So it's not a great picture, but I just wanted to share that one. So we did a lot of fancy stuff. I remember Guy saying at the time, he goes, customer doesn't care, whatever it costs.
Yeah, that's what you want to hear, yeah.
Yeah, Huntington Bay.
Well, speaking of North Carolina, you did me a justice to, basically to, I would say, fulfill my stained glass dreams, because when you moved away, I had to do all the artwork. and I was not the artist of the family. You were. So then now I had to learn how to do all the artwork,
Yep.
and obviously I've been doing it since the mid '90s artwork, and basically because you, not saying it's a good thing you left, but because you went on your own way, you forced my hand by having to do artwork, which I have to thank you for.
Well,
Because now
there
I'm
you go.
proficient enough to do my artwork for my own customers, my own clients.
Yeah, and
So-
you do really good. You're very. I mean, I was looking at your waterfall panel.
Yes.
Let's see. I'm gonna see if I could find it. I think it's a recent. You recent work. Is this
Yeah,
it?
it's about a year and a half old. Yeah, yeah.
Flat panels, lamps. Oh, there's Glenn. Look like Glenn. You look like Dad. I swear to God.
I know. It's
Like you
horrible.
look just like
I mean, it's
Dad.
great, but
And what is this? Draw inspiration from domes around the world. Look at you plagiarizing it. And yeah, that's a picture of us when we were in 1982 or 3.
yeah,
When we,
8, 2, 3, yeah.
Went on our own. Is
Yep.
yeah, in Holbrook, I believe that was.
Correct.
And,
Yep.
there's Guy, Glenn, Dad, and Greg, and me. I was always the black sheep of the family. It's like you look like Dad. I swear to God. And there's Grandpa. He's doing some cold painting here, which Guy has. The guy actually has this window, which is a treasure
Yeah.
in itself. And
Yeah.
here's Glenn, and who's that guy with you? Installing a dome. With the frame network, the steel frame.
hmm
That's interesting. And look at you going. Who's this? You going solo with the panels? And they have to be fed through the frame and then drop down from the top, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh wait, here we go. You're putting the frame up. Look at that. And it's done in sections. There's this one here, was that like? It's got to be 8 to 10 feet or more. I don't even know.
They range between I've done as small as 6, 7 feet and as much as 15 feet
Oh yeah,
in diameter. So
Oh yeah, here's look at that. Remember those trucks I was telling you about? This is the Rockville Center studio, Summer Studio. And I don't know, that might be Dad hanging off the side of the truck. But these trucks,
Right, yeah.
they were red trucks. I remember as a really little kid, and they used to do a lot of I can't pronounce it, the slag glass, the thick stuff with the concrete, and they had a couple of jobs in California. I remember Dad telling the stories about going over the Sierra Mountains, in the truck going sideways with all that weight in the back, loaded down with slag glass. It's and here's a picture. This is Sommer Stained Glass in the old shop studio that was next door. It was 108 Brook Avenue, or 112. 112 or 108, either one. But this is a very early picture of, I would say, late 70s, showing the lamps that they were doing. And all the grapes inside the grape lamps, you mentioned about the foiling, how it had to stick, without the glue. I mean, remember, who's the guy's name, who was a machine? He was an older guy, and he used to crimp the foil. You know his name. He used to do the fossil hunting.
his name is Mark, I believe.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, Mark. Oh, look at this. That's the red truck, the 1970 panel truck. I wish I had that today. That's from our front yard. Going over some memories. Let's see. Oh yeah, I remember we used to do mall shows. Where did you get these pictures? I haven't seen that one. We used to go to the mall and set up a thing, and with the lamps, and Yeah, Huntington and Holbrook. A retail location in Huntington, and Holbrook was the shop. Yeah, this is probably Massapequa Mall. That was fun. Sit there and hang out in the mall. Here's an early postcard image. Was this Huntington, Glenn, or I believe?
Well, it's either Huntington or it's Smithtown.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Smithtown. It was
Yeah,
Huntington.
we had a contract with American Eagle Door. They made solid wood doors, and we would do the glass inserts. And this one on the left is, I forget, BC9 design, and then the same design here, which would with matching side lights. And here's a few of the panels down below. Remember that? This is a TGI Fridays window. And this is old etched glass, actually. Oh, that one. And the original Tiffany dome, we did it up really nice with the pigtail cap and very soft ambers. This lamp right here, I would love to have this lamp right now. I don't know where it is. It's in someone's
Someone
house.
has it.
You don't have it. Remember that base? It was like, it had arms on the bottom. I think I found it in an antique shop.
You know, Gary, all this talk about all the work we've done, you never actually explained that what Dad and Uncle Ronnie did when they sold their lamps. They gave every lamp that they sold a 100% return policy for a year if you didn't like it. They gave you a lifetime policy to bring the lamp in and to trade it in, or a lifetime policy to actually, if you're not happy with the color schemes of your lamp, even if you repainted your kitchen, you bring it in and we'll make you a new one, no cost, changing the colors around. And the lamps came with a 100% guarantee. Any type of breakage, anything happened to the lamp, you bring it back and we fix it for free.
Remember
Every lamp. That's furniture. That's glass. That's like who does that? And then we'd sell. The selling point was when the customers would come in and Dad would say, "Hey, Glenn or Gary, hey, just put that lamp down on the floor a second and just stand on it for me, please."
I was just gonna say.
You'd stand on the lamp, and the customers would basically almost faint, say, "No, don't stand on the lamp." And there we are, standing on the lamp. I'll buy it.
We had Dave. I'm not gonna say his last name. I didn't ask his permission. Dave, who was our main glazer, Big Dave. What was he 6 foot?
He was like 20 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd stand on it, and then he'd grab one of the part-time foilers and put it on his shoulders. That was one of the pictures. I wish I had that picture. And said, how strong are your lamps? And the reason why they were so strong is because of that heavy gauge foil we use.
Exactly right.
Allowing the solder to go behind the foil and lock to the glass. And the network was so
with that glue.
amazingly
I
strong.
wouldn't trust it with the glue now. I mean, maybe I could, but I wouldn't trust it like the old days,
Oh, yeah. Remember the first time we used it in Holbrook? We ran out of the good stuff. So we said, all right, you gotta use this glue stuff. And we'd use it, and we were all in like shock, almost like dying, because you grabbed the skirt of the lamp, you're like, whoop, whoop, whoop. You could bend it in and out, like, we're done. And, as I told Guy with Mongo Art Glassville, I said, Guy, make a 2 mil foil with glue on it, or no glue, so we could crimp it like the old days.
2 mil, even with glue, still would be way better than one. I mean, I tell all the students here, never ever do any projects unless they're flat and small with 1 mil foil.
No, it falls apart.
Got to be 1.5, and even that, be careful because it's.
I always thought that the old glueless was a 2.2. I don't even know about. I know if you ran your finger across it, not watching and not careful, you cut your finger wide open. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And it was like biting aluminum foil. It, like they had that sting.
Well, it was so strong. It was so strong that you couldn't tear it with your fingers.
Exactly. Unless
you had to use scissors. You could not. No, you could try all you want. You couldn't tear it.
Yeah, but Mark could. Mark could tear it.
Mark did? Oh, well.
Yeah, remember he's like this. We're like, what? Yeah, he was using his fingernails. He cheated.
Yeah, well, that's different. Yeah, use the finger, that piercing it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what made the lamp strong. And you know, I guess 2-3 mil. It could be 3, it could be 2.5. I know we went through a transition. We had the coppery copper foil, then we went to like a lighter copper foil. With, I guess it had more zinc in it, but it was strong and slightly more flexible. Remember that, the little transition we went through? It was
Actually, no, I do not. I don't remember that.
Lighter in color, little lighter in color.
Oh, okay, yeah, I do. You're right. It wasn't as coppery.
Yeah,
You're right. It had more.
Little,
Yep, I do remember that. Okay.
And
Yep.
slightly more flimsy. But we would have to buy that copper in 400-pound pallets. Otherwise, they wouldn't mill it for us.
Yeah.
And you know, the rolls were large. I mean, you know, large rolls, and no paper trails everywhere from copper foil. But there was a lot of. I mean, it was the craziest thing. And how many foilers do you think were in the back foil section on a
Well, there was
normal
always
day?
between 7 to 10. But Gary, remember what we used to do is you had to take the foil and you wrapped it in between your pinky and your ring finger. I know it's gonna be tough to explain, but you had to wrap it in between your pinky and ring finger, and then it fed through your hand, and your fingers contracted in and out, in and out, in and out, and you could foil. And if you were good, you could slide the foil on. So you could take the glass.
I feel like I'm gonna get
slide it
on. That's why
and wrap it around. It's some guys would be able to foil, 150. We averaged. I remember Dad and Uncle Ronnie would give us a bonus every week if we averaged 100 pieces an hour, and that was counting breaks, not lunch. Lunch you can clock out for it, but your work breaks. So if you average 100 pieces an hour, you got an extra $50 in your paycheck. And I was the foreman at the time, and I made sure who could do it. I know Kevin could do it. I could do it. Like I said, I'm not gonna say last names. And there weren't that many, but you had those guys that would, and that's how you had a foil inside your pinky, and if you were able to slide, you were the king.
Yeah, but what did you put on your fingers, Glenn?
We put on this black tape that was all sticky and kept your fingers from cutting open.
Yeah, it was like a modern. It wasn't a true duct tape. It wasn't as sticky, but it was like almost like a duct tape. And we had it.
Well, it's funny. I still have rolls of it. Still, I still have like 20 rolls of it.
Really?
Yeah, the black tape, and you just put it on your fingers, and it's got enough. Yeah. It's not like duct tape where it rips. It's got more like a clothy fabric to it. Well, we had it custom made for our fingers. I still have rolls of it.
They had the red too. Remember, it came in red.
Yep.
Came in red. Yep. I'm picking your memory brains. I have your
and all the and all the glass cutters. Nobody cut with gloves on. You just have like a little surgical tape. If you got a cut, you'd wrap it around, and off you went. Yeah. You didn't care.
Oh yeah, you just tape it up. And Glenn, I asked a question the other day, and I tagged you. I said, anybody know what cutter's crotch is?
Yeah.
I said, keep your mind out of the gutter. But you tell the people what cutter's crotch is. It's a real thing.
Yeah, your inside between your ring finger and your middle finger would just blister up and bleed. You'd tear all the skin.
It was
and you'd do it again, and then before you know it, after about a good 6 months of cutting glass, you'd have a callus, and you never got it again. It was there, and you'd actually have a lump. Yeah. Almost looks like a wart on both of your fingers, right in that spot. That's how much you.
It would hold the glass cutter
too. I don't have it anymore.
It would hold the glass cutter.
Sorry, I don't have it anymore because I got smart and I wear gloves.
Yeah.
I don't get cut. I wear gloves. And the only problem with gloves, you couldn't be as precise with holding the little teeny patterns, but you get used to it. It's not so bad.
We're looking at your handiwork of your hanger of the canopy. Would you use like a 6-inch canopy on the top of that? With the hanging.
What lamp?
The new one you did with the rings, the 6 whatever the new dome.
Oh, the 60-inch lamp.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's banding from the lamps, and you soldered the inside. Gave it a very solid ring of solder. Is that what you said you did?
Yeah, I soldered it to I think it was like a 6-inch vase cap, and then basically that was all soldered. Then I reinforced the inside this way. It was really strong to hold up. I mean, I had to hold up the whole lamp, so it had to be pretty strong.
Oh yeah. no doubt.
Lamp weighed about 120 pounds, something like that, whatever it was.
Immediately I saw the old hooks. Like, God, those are the hooks. We used to use those hooks. Put it
Yeah,
through
I still have 1,000 of them.
the lamps, and that's how we used to hang the lamps up in the shop. You know,
Yep,
that
worked
weren't
great.
wired. And yeah, they work great. You just hook them right up. Sometimes you miss, you got to do it again. But, and if you miss too many times, you know, somebody grabs a lamp and they move over to another empty chain. Remember that? You got to stay on your tippy toes. Okay, it's on. You bounce it a little bit. Some memories, I'll tell you. How about
Yep.
let me go. I'm on my personal feed. This is crazy. There you go. Stained glass patterns. There you go. What was I going to say? Yeah, when customers would come in, remember we had the porcelain light socket on the end of a stick, like a 6-foot stick, and we would have quartered and we hold the light up inside the lamp that was, you know, not lit, just hanging up on the ceiling. And you know,
we had like maybe 40 of them that had electric lights in them. And then there was another 1,200 lamps that were up in the ceiling in the rafters area that weren't lit up. So customers say, "Ooh, can I see that one?" And that was your job. You worked all day. You know, if you wanted to work on the weekends, you were allowed to. And then you'd work on the weekends, and you would be the one that held the stick up, put the lamp down, brought it to the nice cleaning area, cleaned and waxed it, grabbed the electrical sockets for the inside, put it all together, grabbed the chain, made sure they needed the right amount, whether it be a full swag or a straight down or whatever you needed. You'd polish it up, you'd carry the lamp out to the car, and the people would say, "Oh, don't you put it in a box?" And we'd laugh at them and say, "No, you don't put it in boxes.
Let it roll around."
They're more dangerous in a box than they are. They're like, really, just put it in the trunk and you're good to go. Something breaks, you bring it back. Meanwhile, you know, they're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on these lamps, even back in the 70s and 80s.
Oh,
you know,
geez.
and
the price we charged.
that was your job. That was your job for Saturday and Sunday, taking down lamps, electrifying them, and bringing them to cars.
Yeah.
That's how many lamps Dad and Uncle Ronnie sold back in the day.
We would
You know,
sell
that was your job.
between 20 and 50 lamps on a Saturday.
Yeah,
Easy,
crazy.
easy. And
Yeah.
what did we do? All we did was polish them with pledge, right? And a soft cloth.
Yep, pledge.
That's
Yep.
it.
That's it.
And-
Pledge.
And then, you know, remember the band? We used to do it like the shimmy, shimmy, shoe shake? Remember? To
Yep.
get the band to shine up real nice?
Yep.
You're bringing back memories, Glenn. And,
Well, we did. Now I'm lucky if I make 5 lamps in a year. 10 maybe, you know?
yeah, I'm showing recent studio pictures that, what turns out, oh, there's your window. This is the one I wanted to find. If you go back on YouTube, I don't know if you, maybe you could turn the volume down, I don't know. But it's showing it's like a bullet-shaped window with the waterfall and all the pretty daffodils and the, what is it, irises on the left. See, Glenn,
Yeah, irises, waterfall. Yeah, we're pretty. Yep.
I have to say, you knocked this one out of the park.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Not only did you capture that waterfall perfectly, you know, with that nice line and the change of the color, with the eclectic arrangement of flowers. You know, you got daffodils and looks like a peonies and all kinds of stuff, and then you got irises and I don't even know bamboo on the left.
Yeah, Japanese bamboo. I got Japanese peonies. I got the tree. It's actually a dove tree, which is pretty cool. So you don't see too many dove trees in stained glass at all. You can look it up. You're not going to find many at all. You know.
I don't even know what a dove tree is.
Well, they're around all around. At least I know that.
Yeah, I'm zoomed in.
Anyway.
I could see that. Really nice work, Glenn. Guy showed me this. I go, that's not Glenn. That's Tiffany.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
No, but what you said earlier about having to do the artwork. Well, there you go.
Yep.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, that was a fun one because you know for a fact you sit down, you got your piece of paper and you got all your pencils all sharpened, ready to go, and you start sketching, and then you erase, and then you sketch more, and then you erase a little more, or you erase a little less, and you keep sketching, and before you know it, you go, okay, I see what I wanted to see. There it is, in the perspective that you want it, and that's the only way I could think of it, unless you do it with a computer-generated, picture. The only way I could say to do stained glass the proper way.
Well,
The way we do it, by hand drawing it,
Ooh, the
and
cat's
making
biting me.
things look. look like they do when we do it.
Well,
I got a crazy story for you.
Yeah.
I was going with a bunch of guys. We were going to Connecticut and we were playing in a golf outing, and we're driving down I-95, and it was early in the morning, so you could see people's like homes, like in the trees and stuff like that. And someone had a lamp on, and I look, and I wasn't driving, so I'm looking out the window. I said, "Hey, there's one of my Tiffany lamps that I made back in the day." And the guy says, "How do you know that? We're doing 65 miles an hour."
You know that.
And I said, "I could tell." I said, "No problem."
Glenn, how many between you and Don? How many lamps do you think you placed in a month's time? That's like
it's crazy. We did you probably did depending on the size of the lamp, I know one weekend I did, Dad and Uncle Ronnie were having sales that weekend. They weren't really busy that weekend, so I ended up putting ring lamps together and other phone lamps together. And on Monday morning, Steve came in with Tim and Greg, and Steve pointed to the back of the shop and pointed and gave me a face and said, "Go back and foil. Get out. Get off the place thing." I did over 50 lamps in a weekend.
Oh yeah.
And they were, and Uncle Ronnie gave me a nice. I think he gave me like a $200 bonus for that. Because I did so many lamps. He was just so impressed with me putting these things together. But I was not the solderers were not a fan of me because I gave them a week's worth of work in a day.
Yeah.
It's great.
And speaking
so I don't know, Gary. A month, maybe 100 to 150 easily.
And a little bit on soldering. What do we have? Like 3 or 4 solderers going at full tilt, right? And
3 or 4 at all times. Yep.
Yeah, and they would solder using 2 irons, sometimes 3, and full tilt, no rheostats, and they were all 200-watt big hexagon irons.
200 to 300-watt irons, which I still use my 300-watt iron, by the way.
Yeah, that's for bars.
And I soldered that window with the waterfall with a 300-watt iron with a big, huge tip. You'd be like, "There's no way."
That'll work.
Yeah.
Hey, you turn it sideways, right? And then my point is about with the irons, you'd have 2 going, like most of the time, 2 going. As one cooled down, you picked up the hot one and you went right back to it.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to slow down by having a cool iron.
And then the other one will heat up, and you just keep going back and forth. And,
we worked with 25-pound spools of solder that were on a rod that would stick out but upside the bench, and you'd have your oleic acid flux going. You'd have your hood fans going to suck out all the fumes.
Yeah.
And you would just sit there and just as fast as you could feed that solder onto a clean step. And that's how you'd solder, and it would come out absolutely perfect because that's the speed. What enabled you to keep think about on the inside. The speed of it kept everything flowing where it was almost liquefied until you turned the form.
Yeah.
And so it was just a lot easier. The bead looked better, and it was just you can't compare it to working with a 60-watt iron. Imagine trying to solder a bell shape with a 60-watt iron.
No, not really. I mean, you could, but it's going to take you some time.
Yeah. Well, that lamp alone, I've done it. I've made it by myself. Probably about 10 of them. I think I'm the only person that's ever made a 27-inch bell shape by himself because when Dad and Uncle Ryan did it, there was always production. You would cut it, someone else foil it, bump it together, someone would solder it. And that lamp alone takes me about 14 to 16 hours just to solder it.
Oh yeah.
And that's at my speeds. That's how long that lamp takes to solder it. Just to solder it.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. That's not counting the cutting, and the foiling and the assembling of the lamp and everything else.
I'm gonna try to find that one.
I don't have the bell shape on my site. I'm not sure.
No, I'm checking. I have it. It's out there on the interweb.
Right.
But yeah, I have the picture open of a very large dome with pinks in it and very Art Nouveau style with twisting ribbons and a center piece, and it's sitting on looks like 2x4s temporarily. It's on the live feed. Give us a little bit about that, because out of all your domes you've ever done, this is my favorite. I don't think I've ever told you that, because I like the diamond with the jewels going around. And just for starts, how big is this dome? Do you recall?
That was a 9-footer.
9-footer. Okay,
Yeah.
and all those jewels going around. Do you remember how many there were
No.
between each diamond? I'll count them. 1, 2,
No.
3, 4, 5, 6. It's got to be about 15 per panel, and there's what, 8 panels? It's over 100, 120 of just those little. So you had to wrap each one with lead, just to put perspective on it. Unless you didn't do this out of foil, did you, or possibly?
Yeah, all the domes have to do it foil because they're curved.
Oh, the double bend. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Unfortunately, I'd rather work with the lead, but
the structural integrity would be fine. With did you do any type of reinforcement per each panel, or is it just the shape?
No.
No,
just the curve alone reinforces it. So
yeah, because the weight's pushing down. It's actually the design of the dome would actually hold the integrity of the piece up.
correct, yeah.
And then the fancier the better, because the networking would actually increase that integrity. So yeah, I love this one. And looking at the other dome you did, but all the lamps, you look at from the Dutch girls on the left there to the, there's the bell shape. It's on the top. The bell, roses and daisies. And then you have the billiards lamp below it, and the famous cone poinsettia, to the right. And then the Empire Jewel. I remember the Empire Jewel had over 900 jewels itself, just in that lamp.
Oh yeah, Going back to that lamp, the form. I mean the dome with the 2x4s holding up temporarily.
Okay, let's go back.
You see the ribbons going around like the top area, where they're circling around and circling, going into the next.
Oh yeah, like the loop, de loop, yeah.
Yeah, the loop. Okay, so when I designed that, my worst fear was because now you're designing it on flat and you're putting it up into a curve. As it goes into the curve, your loops aren't going to be perfectly looped; they're going to be scalloped. So
I guess that's not really a bad thing, but you got it lined up perfectly.
No, but that's not what I want to look, and I want everything to crisscross perfectly. Yeah. So that was a tough one to design, only because of that reason. But once I, obviously once I got it down, it was, and then I put the whole thing together, and because you can't really see it in the form until it's in the form,
right?
I put them in. And I laid them in, and I laid under I held it on a bench, and I put it on sawhorses, and I laid on the floor on my back, and I looked up, and I said, "Oh, thank you." It came out perfect. At this point, I didn't know, because it's those curves, they could be a little scallopy. But like you said, if it was a little scallopy, no one would have cared. But that's not the way I wanted to have it.
Right. I'm just kind of going around. Yeah, you did it, Glenn. You nailed it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I always like looking at your stuff. Let's see, going back. I always said to you, Glenn, build more content onto your website. I mean, for the amount of work you do, you don't have enough. I know you have. I'm looking at the dome on your header. Just your header image. It looks like. The harps, the lyres going around,
yeah.
And that red ribbon. What's the story about this one?
Well, my customer wanted they love the ribbons, and the customer. I was working with a designer at this time, and they were building these 10 to 15,000 square foot homes over in Kings Point on Long Island.
Wow, that was a small one. 10,000. Come on.
Yeah. So the designer said to me, "I want, he designs these houses. He'll start and just put it all on paper and design it from soup to nuts, everything. Get paid like maybe $250,000 to design these homes, and they're all custom done. Each one's different for his clients. And so he says, I need a dome. It's going to be about 9 feet. And he takes a piece of paper. I'm telling you, like a Post-it note, and he goes like this. He draws a circle and just throws like a quick ribbon around it, and he goes, "Give me some type of instrument around the outside. I don't care. Give me a Greek lyre.
Give me saxophone.
A Greek lyre." Yeah, so I said, all right. So I went to the shop and I drew up that, and that was historic money. So basically, the customer didn't care what they were getting, well, they cared, but he was the designer of the whole project. So whatever the designer wanted, the customer got.
I'm looking at a one.
And
I'm looking at a dome with the. It's recessed in the ceiling with a lot of, the gold leaf paint, and
oh yeah, that's another one that the guy just said to me, exact same words was, just draw something. And he says, I want red in the background, and I never did red in the background before.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy, I don't know how it's going to come out.
Oh, it looks great with the blue and.
That's my favorite one that I ever did.
Actually,
I know you like the other one, but that's my favorite.
I like this one too, but I wish I had a better picture. I mean, just the setting alone, all that fancy plaster of Paris work. I watch these guys make that stuff. Some of it comes in like pre-made forms, and like molds, and then they just put it up. But some guys actually will carve it right on the spot. They put the mud down and start carving away at it. It's really an artwork. But yeah, that's a dome. That's something else. Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's a chandelier in there. I never got back to the house to take a picture, and like you said, I should put a little more content on. I should go back to the house and take a photo with the chandelier in it. Call them up and say, hey, listen, I need to finalize this picture, but that's all I have for now.
Just say, hey, send me a picture. Everybody's phone now is like, 12 megapixels? And then I'm looking at this dome that has a octagon center and the ribbons that was similar to the other dome.
Yeah.
With the diamonds and an extended skirt on it. With AK, SK. Well,
the guy who bought that one, he had his initials, his wife's initials, and his son and daughter's initials in every other panel. So basically, that's they're up there forever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the story behind it. I mean, look at it, it's like they got their initials, they're monograms. Amazing.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Huh. And then this is a simple one. Looks really high. It's very clear looking. Looks like it's above some sort of spiral staircase, maybe.
Yeah, yep.
How did you get up there?
Well, Greg and I have, we can climb scaffolding, so that's what we did. We erected scaffolding around the stairs and did that way. But a lot of these domes that we do, because the house is so big, they have these full size attics that some have ventilation in them, AC in it to keep the domes from overheating. And so you just go up into the attic and actually install most of it from the top.
Yeah, but one little slip, you're going down 20, 30 feet.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much. This one's not. I like this one with the blue and golds. It look like tassels going around, and very neat looking. It looks like it has. Maybe you got to put a light in the middle of it or some sort.
Most likely, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't get a lot of the photos with the lights in them. I have some, with the lights in it. I got the one with the chandelier in it, but not all of them.
Well, these domes are a story in themselves. And I'm looking at this one with peach and like a Dresden blue and a very amber background and a gray. It's really soft looking. Very, very nice.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, Glenn. And that one's made differently. It's got, what was that, 16 separate sections, or is that?
Yeah, 16, and that one is interesting because it's not a perfect curve. Those were flat panels put in, so they staggered down. The customer didn't want it that one done that way.
Oh, okay.
So those are actually just little piece of stained glass. That one I think I did I might have done that one out of lead too. No, I probably used copper foil.
Yeah, graduated.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot less money to do it that way.
Oh, yeah, I could imagine.
Anytime you put any type of curve on like that, you have to charge almost 30% higher just because of even the iron guy is going to charge me more, that he makes the iron work and my artwork and my time to have to make forms for it. Those panels, that soft peach I didn't have to make a form for that. I put them right on the bench and put them right in. Everything else, I have to make these, these forms that are the perfect curve for the frame itself. So they have to match the frame, which is, more time, more money.
And then this one I'm looking at, it has a deco appeal to it. Looks like a modernized deco, with like almost like a peacock style feathering coming out from the center. I think that one's pretty interesting to look at too.
Yeah.
You got it pulled up. I haven't seen this one before. But yeah, it's very nice, very sharp looking.
Yeah, that was my latest dome that I did.
Yeah, that's probably why I didn't see it.
Yeah, I just finished that one up in January.
Yeah, and I'll just catch you on that scaffolding thing. Remember that job I did, that 7-foot circle on the beach in that church?
Yeah.
And we made it up in New York. We put it on a trailer, right, on an angle, right?
Yep.
It was in a nice heavy wood box. Drove it from New York to North Carolina. We climbed 3 tiers of scaffolding that was rickety, and passing this window, pass it up, grab it, pass it up, grab it, pass it up, get to the top, go to put it in, and it's like a half-inch short. Remember that?
Yep.
And I was like, when they measured it, they didn't account for they gave me site size or something crazy.
Yep, they didn't count for the lead, so we had gotten.
So the guy, good thing the carpenter was on site, and he cut the bendable molding, and he put it up, and we installed it, and jumped in the truck and right back to New York without any sleep. Remember that? And hit a hailstorm.
Well, no, that's not true. We did stop. We ended up after that tornado passed by us with the hail and everything. We were so shaken from that, we ended up stopping off at a hotel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, you got me.
Because we were working on no sleep, and then drive all the way back. I remember the tornado hit, and I was driving because you were wiped out. I was driving. You were like, maybe you should pull over. I said, well, I don't want to pull over and get hit by a tornado. I'd rather drive through it or drive around it.
You were getting pelted by hail at the time. I was afraid the windshield was going to break.
Yeah, I know. So I think we ended up driving behind a tractor trailer or something like that until we found the exit and we found a hotel. And then we stayed there only for 2 hours. We didn't sleep. We just stayed there just to rest for a second, and we got in the car and drove back. Yeah. Pretty cool.
I'm just at my website. I want to show that window. It was actually a lot of these things we've done together. Like I'm going to look at the large. This actually window we did for a Marv in Old Westbury. Remember the horse guy? He raised polo ponies, and this was done from a design from John Lafarge. And
we did that for that guy. Can I say his last name? He's passed.
Yeah, yeah.
The guy who invented the rabbit ears, Mr. Middlemark.
Yeah, Marvin Middlemark. And he painted...
Yeah, Marvin Middlemark,
We all laughed. I had an antique, Mercedes, and he took a brush and painted it green. It's like, this guy was crazy.
With a roller.
But this window was 120 inches. I wrote down the size. That's 10 feet. 10 feet. Right?
Yep.
And 3 sections and... All that gold going around, that's actually a silver stain.
I know. You did a really nice job on that one, Gary.
Everything was stacked up. Well, you guys did too. You guys built it. All stacked up in a kiln. I layered them. Because the reason why, you only had to fire it to 925-ish.
Right.
And I put like 5 or 6 on top of each other and just, crossed my fingers. And it fired. I soaked it a little bit at 925, 930, and it came out perfect. That was one of those trial and error things. And I want to show you that one window we did. It had to be, scaffolding is 6 feet. It's a bad picture, but this is a St. Francis by the sea. This is what me and you drove to North Carolina. Greg
Nice.
assembled it. Greg assembled it. I cut it. It was designed by the architects, Heimset. They build churches all throughout the country, and this is her design concept. It has 12 nautical creatures from the sea, and some background elements. But the cross is all bevels, and it was just 2 bars. And it was 72 inches, so it's 6 foot, right? Yeah, 6 foot.
Yeah.
And,
Beautiful window. Yeah.
Yeah, they put that up, and that window was not light because it had a lot of work, a lot of lead work.
Right.
That's the one you helped me with. And yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and if you forgot anything, you want to mention anything.
No, I think it's time for me to get to work.
Yeah, go to work, Glenn.
We can do this again another day.
Well, you're done. You already got your interview.
Yeah, all right. That's it. I'm done.
On
That's
that note,
one shot. I get at it. Right. That's it.
I'm just going to go ahead and mention one little thing. Glenn,
Okay.
you are a great asset in my life. I wouldn't know where I'd be without you.
Thank you, Gary.
As a
Very
brother,
nice.
as a
Very kind
brother.
words.
The lives we spent, glass and off glass.
Yep.
So, and I just want to say
All right.
thanks for the interview.
You're welcome.
And,
Thanks for having me.
Keep me posted on what you do. All your new projects. I always like seeing
Yep.
it.
It'll be on my website. Everything's on there. Yep.
And I hope people got answers about this big dome and how much did it weigh? 60 pounds. Where's it going to be? And eventually you're going to take a picture of it in its setting, correct or no?
That one. I don't think I can get that photo. I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I'd have to call up the company
you know,
because it's in Idaho somewhere.
Yeah, such is the glass. I mean, you think about all the work we've done that we never took pictures of.
I know.
We just
Yeah.
never took
I
pictures
know.
of. We did that 15-foot wave for that big motel in Brooklyn. Remember that Seacoast Towers?
Yeah.
This thing was 15
Yeah.
feet. We don't have a picture of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still
I
there.
think Guy might have a picture of that. I think.
Yeah, I gotta get him to
Yeah.
start scanning stuff. All right, Glenn, I'll let you go. I'm just rolling
Yeah.
down the forum
All
right
right.
now.
I'll
And,
run.
Yeah, thanks again.
Bye, Gary.
I appreciate it.
I'll talk to you. You're welcome.
All right,
You're welcome. Bye.
take care.